Our life doesn't get better by chance. Our life gets better by deliberate change. And it's the moment again in our life where many people have always been looking up for, and they show their excitement by sending each other's pleasantries, exchanging pleasantries, messages, wishful texts, prayers, and all this. This moment is categorized by this type of activities, and I'm excited about it as well. The only challenge is that many people have not created a deliberate action plan, to produce different kind of realities. Just like we know that I tell someone that many people will not have a new 2022. As a matter of fact, many people will have 2021 repeated in 2022. And why? Because I remember discussing with someone previously, some times ago, and he said that he has been working for 5-6 years. And I said, sir, you haven't worked for 5 or 6 years. The last time I checked, you've only worked for 1 year and you repeated 5 times. Why? Because if I look into this man's life with all sense of honesty, I can say that the last 5-6 years, there's not any significant change, if there is at all. As a matter of fact, it's like most people's life are moving in a retrogressive manner. Why? Why do people, especially every year, every moment like this, in every year in such a time like this, many people are excited, doing, professing different kind of things, believing and hoping and, thinking that everything is going to be different. And yet, at the end of the year, it's like almost, a vicious cycle. One of the things that Albert Einstein said, he said insanity, which means a state of madness. He said insanity is doing the same thing over and over and hoping to get different results. So it's madness for people to keep recycling their experience, and just by thinking that they profess something or they believe that everything will be different, then everything will change. No, we live in a world that is governed by laws. If you climb a tree and you jump, you cannot go up, you must fall down. It doesn't care whether you're a Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Pope, Bishop, Imam, whosoever you are, you will be punished or you will be acted upon. The forces of nature will act upon you according to the laws of nature. And so I believe that this is that time again. This waking up this morning alone, I was going through my phone and I was showing my friend that I had over more than 1,000 people sending me, those wishful messages and prayers. And I'm grateful for that. I'm not saying for any reason, but then it will be better that instead of all those wishes and hopes and all those things, rather people sending, hey, what, this is my plans for this year. These are the action plan. This my personal development program plans that I have to be different person than I was 1 year ago, 2 years ago. Because guess what? The quality of results that individuals and people have as people is based on the knowledge that they have. So if you haven't learned anything new, anything different from all the things that you know before, it is just common sense to say that you will keep recycling the same result, because just like a tree cannot be without its root, a man's action cannot be without his thoughts. The quality of thoughts you have comes from the quality of knowledge you have, information you have. So if you're going to act differently, you have to know differently, because you can't act out what you don't know. And then, by thought, I tell people what you want. You can imagine and visualize what you want, but it's only through acting on knowledge that all the things that you desire comes to you. So I'm surprised, because I see a lot of people making so many declarations about how 2022 is going to be different, but they've been doing that for the last 2 years, last 3 years, last 4 years, last 5 years, last 10 years, and none of them, in most cases, ever sit down to question, wow, what about, I've said these things before, I've done these things before, and I've not seen it work. Why can't I try something different? All right, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be optimistic. You can always, all of us need God's help in the things that we do. But God cannot do unto men what men ought to do it for themselves. And from the Quran and onto the Bible and onto all the books that I've had the chance to read all over during the course of my lifetime, I realized that one of the most central things that the God himself is interested in is knowledge. And in Quran, Almighty, encourages you to go even to the end of the world to seek for knowledge, because a man's life cannot change unless, we are all affected by our knowledge, by the things that we know. And even in the Bible, God, said in Hosea, he said, my people perish. It means it's possible to be on the side of God and still perish. So that you confessed and you professed this year prophetic things doesn't mean the year is going to be different. We are in a material universe, the economic planet. The laws of nature have to, follow suit. And that doesn't mean that there are no miracles, but you don't want to live your life by that. Miracles is, I was telling someone, when God decided to intervene in the affairs of men in some way like that, you don't want to constantly live your life like that. And God created the world, and he put all the laws and he created all the laws that guided the universe. It's common sense also to know that, just like I said earlier, that a man's action cannot be without a thought. Remember the wise man said, that as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. It means the physical realities of your life comes from who you are. If you want to change what you're seeing, you have to change who you are. And you can't change who you are unless you get new knowledge, you get new informations, right? And just the wise master once said that a good man, out of the good treasures of his heart, he will always bring forth good things. And also an evil man, out of the evil treasures of his heart, bring forth evil things. So we do know for sure that if you want to change your outcome, you have to change yourself first. You cannot have different 2022 unless you go back to your drawing board and change the informational content of your mind. Else, many people, 2022 will just be a vicious cycle. How do I know? Check your life right now. If you're watching this video, I want you to check your life. What plans do you have, to get new knowledge, to get new information? Because all knowledge cannot create new result. All informations cannot produce new different realities. At its best, it's going to recycle the same experience. So if you still maintain the same knowledge you have, let me tell you, there's no even guarantee that you can get the same result as you got last year, because the world is not stagnant. The world is changing, but you are not changing. You're holding on to only old set of skills or informations or knowledge that you have, and you've never improved on that. So don't expect there will be a change. And that's why many times people, all over the world, you travel, if you travel around the world, you come to Africa, you weep for us. Why? Because look at this. United Nations report says that Africa, Nigeria precisely, is the poverty headquarters of the world about some few years ago. It doesn't mean that we are the poorest country in the world, but it just says that we are the country with the highest number of people living in extreme poverty. As a matter of fact, it said that in every 1 minute, 6 people fell into irredeemable poverty. That is crazy and insane. And yet, surprisingly, we also happen to be the most religious nation on the planet. All right? You go to China, you go to places, so many parts of the world where they don't even believe some of the things that they don't believe in our God and the things. And I'm not saying that, I'm not taking out the place of God in what you do. But remember what I said earlier. I just want to bring some things to your notice, that God cannot do unto men what men ought to do for themselves. And for so long, if you always look up to God, you have been looking up to God for so long, while God is looking up to you to do what you need to do. And that's the problem. And as long as you are waiting on God to do it for you, you are exempting yourself from the responsibility of having to do what you need to do for yourself. And that's why God gives you brain, God gives you hands, God gives you legs, God gives you all the universe, God gives you everything. And he said you should dominate, He said you should take possession. He said wherever you go, So, but it's surprising to see that most people neglect all the faculties, their God-given faculties, of their mind, in order to do what they need to do so that they could do what they do for themselves, they don't do it. They neglect all those faculties and somehow believe in miracles, believe that somehow it's going to happen. Do I believe in miracles? Yes. Am I saying you shouldn't? That's not what I'm saying. But all I'm just saying is that, that you shouldn't just neglect all these things all at the expense of just relying on those things. I'm sure that's why God give you brain, God give you hands, God give you mind so that you can think. And God was even talking. He said, my people, perish because of lack of knowledge. It means it's possible to be on the side of God and still perish. He said, because you have rejected knowledge, I, the Lord your God, have also rejected you. That's serious. So because in the economic planning, we know that, the single most integral thing in the marketplace is value. Value determines who goes home with the most material abundance. Right? So he who creates and prefer solution in terms of value, right, of a problem in the marketplace, makes the most money. So if you ain't making any money, it simply means you're not solving any problem, right? So I tell someone that anywhere there's problem, there's money. You just have to solve problem. The problem is that you can't solve a problem when you don't have a knowledge of how to solve that problem. And the quality of problems you solve determines the quality of money that you make. So if you're not making so much money, it means you're solving just a common problems, right? And so from what we do know, that you can't prefer a premium value when you don't place a premium value on knowledge, when you don't take time to study, right? And learn from others, learn from books, learn from others, learn from experiences.